What if ghosts could be seen by humans? Imagine waking up, heading to your kitchen for a glass of water, and noticing a ghostly figure standing nearby. Not in some hazy, half-seen way, but clearly, as if they were right there with you. What would our world look like if spirits were visible to the naked eye, interacting with the spaces we live in? For centuries, stories of ghosts and spirits have captured our imagination, sparking curiosity, fear, and awe. But what if they weren't just stories? So let's imagine a world where the unseen becomes seen. First, think about how our understanding of life and death would completely change. In most cultures, we view death as a definitive, often mysterious line. But in a world where spirits visibly linger among us, that boundary between life and afterlife becomes pretty blurry. People might not fear death in the same way. They might even see it as a chance to stay connected with their loved ones, forever. Imagine grandparents or ancestors appearing, offering advice or comforting their families long after they've passed. But seeing ghosts might also make us see the world itself differently. Ancient buildings, forests, and battlefields would feel even more alive, knowing that each place has its own unique history full of lingering spirits. Visiting an old castle wouldn't just mean learning about history, but maybe even seeing a ghostly knight from centuries ago, going about their routine as if time never passed. Imagine walking in historic towns, where ghostly shopkeepers and residents from different eras coexist with us in plain sight. Now, let's consider some of the challenges. If we see ghosts everywhere, how would we tell the difference between the living and the dead? Could we have conversations with spirits, ask them questions, or learn from their experiences? Imagine walking into a crowded area and realizing half the people around you are spirits. Cities could have ghost lanes for the living and spirit lanes for the dead. Maybe there'd even be ghost-only places where they could gather without disturbing the living. This new reality might also impact our emotions in unexpected ways. Let's face it, knowing that a loved one's ghost is still around could make grieving even more complicated. Imagine feeling the presence of someone you love, but not being able to reach out to them as you once could. Some might feel comforted, knowing they're not really alone. Others might struggle to move on from past relationships, haunted by the idea that their loved ones are still watching over them. And think about how it might influence our beliefs. The existence of visible ghosts could confirm or challenge religious and spiritual beliefs about what happens after death. Some people might view ghosts as proof of an afterlife, while others might see them as a sign that spirits are trapped or unable to move on. Could this create new rituals, a new respect for the dead, and maybe even new laws to protect spirits? People might avoid certain areas known for ghost sightings, or they might seek them out, hoping to connect with those who've passed. Of course, there's the technology aspect. Scientists would probably jump at the chance to study ghosts up close. Ghost-detecting devices, once considered paranormal equipment, might become as common as smartphones. We could have ghost cams that show spirits in real time or spirit translators that attempt to communicate with them. And let's not forget entertainment. There would be entire TV channels, apps, and social media platforms dedicated to ghost sightings, spirit interactions, and even celebrity ghosts, maybe interviews with famous historical figures. With all this, we'd likely develop a whole new etiquette for dealing with ghosts. Would we be required to greet a ghost if we see one? Would ignoring them be considered rude? In public places, would there be designated ghost zones, so spirits can have their space too? In a world where ghosts are everywhere, interactions would need new manners and norms to ensure that we coexist peacefully with the departed. Ultimately, the idea of seeing ghosts all around us would force us to rethink our place in the universe. Maybe we'd start to value our time on Earth a little differently, knowing that even after life ends, there's a chance we might still be here, part of the world we once knew. Life and death would be connected in ways we never imagined. In this imagined reality, one thing's certain: the world would be forever changed by the presence of spirits among us, visible and interactive, adding depth to our existence and reminding us that perhaps we're never really alone.